Hello, fellow journalers. Happy to see you here. This video is particularly for those who are in my Wednesday night journaling class, but if you're not, you still might find these inspirations interesting. This week's theme is time and how we're all finding it to be something different in this time of coronavirus. And I've chosen 3 different inspirations. One from Mary Oliver, A Thousand Mornings, and her poem called Today. Another thing that comes from a more academic book called Writing True by Mimi Schwartz and Sandra Pearl. And then something I found on the internet through hardtimes.net, which is a satirical site, so hopefully you'll find it as funny as I did. Let me start with today. Today I'm flying low, I'm not saying a word. I'm letting all the voodoos of ambition sleep. The world goes on as it must. The bees in the garden, rumbling a little, the fish leaping, the gnats getting eaten, and so forth. But I'm taking the day off, quiet as a feather. I hardly move, though really I'm traveling at a terrific distance. Stillness, one of the doors into the temple. The line that really caught me for our time is, I hardly move, though I'm traveling at a terrific distance. We might try writing something about similar to that, or in that theme of how we're in this place where we're feels like nothing's happening and yet everything's happening. So how can we express that in words? I will have to think about that myself, but I think that's a powerful inspiration by Mary Oliver. And then on to something, if you want to think in terms of something a little more structured, this is for memoir, and it's a chart that helps you visualize what's going on now, internally, externally, and then locally. So you would write down the date, what's going on in local and world events, what's going on externally, like facts, and then what's going on in your internal feelings. Now, for example, I used the date I was working on this was May 15th. The events were some U.S. communities want to rush back to normalcy. The facts were that experts say the pandemic is far from over, and my internal feelings was that I was worried about people in my family that might be affected by, affected meaning get sick or possibly die due to this rush to get back to normalcy. So in that way, using a chart like that, a very linear thing, it helps sometimes frame what's going on in a very simple, succinct way. So in the next few days until the class, or if you're not coming to the class, you just want to do it on your own, try doing that. Again, it's date, events, facts, and internal feelings. I'll include that in the description. And last but not least, as you may know, the Greeks had 2 different times for two different words for time, kairos and chronos. The idea of chronos is a linear time. We're so used to controlling it, we schedule it, it goes as planned or doesn't go as planned, and we adjust, but we're always kind of working with it, scheduling it. Kairos is more like being immersed in a lake. You know, you're in an art project or in writing, and you just forget what's going on and you're completely immersed in the activity. So that's kairos. Kairos especially is known as being refreshing because we're connecting with something bigger. So I was thinking about these 2 forms of time, and it brought to mind, it begs the question, what the beep kind of time are we experiencing now? It seems to be neither. And I think this article might answer it best. It's called Experts Baffled. It's 4:05 already. And this is by Jonah Nink, and again in hardtimes.net. A panel of experts practicing social distancing across the country are reeling today following their discovery that somehow it's already 4:05 p.m., despite collectively swearing that it's barely even noon. I haven't even had breakfast yet, said University of Chicago senior physicist Joe Padilla while wiping Hot Pocket crumbs off his sweatpants. To read the whole article, and I'll include that in the description too, it goes on essentially to say they think there's an interdimensional time anomaly on top of everything else. But I think you probably, as well as me, days go by and suddenly it's afternoon, and I'm not sure quite what happened. Some days I feel like I know I was productive, but I don't really remember what or why. And I've even noticed that Governor Cuomo here in New York, where he's doing his daily briefings on Saturdays, one of the slides says, "This is Saturday," just to remind us all what time it is in the temporal zone where our minds don't seem to be existing as much. So those are the inspirations for this week's journaling class. And if you're not in my journaling class and you're interested, just let me know. You can message me through this YouTube channel, and or just enjoy writing.